20.11 Chancellor's Report. Chancellor?
Okay. Thank you very much, President Bonilla and members, trustees, members here on the dais, and my friends and loved ones in the audience. It is my pleasure to bring this report to you today. The first thing I want to start off with, though, which is something that I know is on everyone's mind, and that is just a little information about what we're doing and how we're approaching the issue of the coronavirus. Beginning several weeks ago, we started communicating regularly with the faculty, staff, faculty and staff administration in the district to let them know the discussions we were having, remind them of the resources that were available, and to connect them to the appropriate communications. We also engaged in collaboration with the local health officials, the Alameda County Public Health Department. We followed guidelines that were provided by CDC, as well as recommendations from the local health department. We immediately started addressing our emergency operations plan, and at that time had no confirmed cases in our area or in our institutions. And we continue to follow the advice of the Public Health Department and the resources of the CDC. It then escalated at one point when we thought that there were 2 students who could possibly have been exposed, and we went into a full emergency operations center implementation, convened, canceled much of the activity that we were doing with regard to our regular work, and prioritized an emergency operations center operation at the district office for several hours. Worked in collaboration with the public health department as well, and with all of the information that was received and all of the clarification about the possibility of the connection, and learned that the possible students were 3 and 4 degrees away from possible contact. We continued to follow the recommendations of the Public Health Department and did not increase the acuity of the scenarios. As the news began to come out, and other colleges and universities were starting to make their decisions, and while the language has been shortcut to say, like, UC Berkeley closed, or San Francisco City College closed, actually there have been a decrease in programs and services and instruction in order to minimize the number of people that would be gathering together. So instruction is still taking place in some places, but things have been moved to different modalities. If there are types of classes that could not be moved, like, for an example, dance, or labs, then those are still taking place on several of those institutions. I also went into had a conversation with the Chancellor of the Cal State CSU East Bay today, and we shared some of the things that we were discussing as well. When we met yesterday, we agreed that we needed to reach out to PFT, because we're starting to see implications for making some changes in terms of when we have classes and things that might affect the academic schedule. So we reached out to PFT, and Dr. Brown, particularly Dr. V.C. Whitaker, and the PFT president, Jennifer Shanowski, had conversations, and we came up with a proposal about what we think we need to do, where we need to go next. Also do know that in the meantime, we were changing the protocols that included things like changing cleaning protocols, ordering hand sanitizer. Though we've been trying to get bulk orders, so we've been working through the purchasing process to do that. The demand for that is so high that it is increasingly hard for us to get it, and we learned today, for an example, that it would take several weeks to get it, so we're trying all different types of strategies. In the meantime, DGS has just simply been purchasing hand sanitizers and putting it in the offices, and they also have been posting signs in the bathrooms and those types of things. So we're still doing those types of processes. V.C. Brown convened the Distance Education Committee and immediately began working on institutional continuity measures, and that would be making sure that students can still get credit for their classes in the event that we had to have a cessation of instruction for a long period of time. As you know, in order to meet the standards for the Carnegie unit, they have to meet a certain number of hours, and if you are out too long, then you compromise the ability of those classes to make a difference, and so the students would have lost what they've already invested in. So we've been working closely with the State Chancellor's Office, following all the processes in order to get the addendums done, because there are curriculum standards that have to be met, and then also strategizing to make sure that people would have an opportunity to either shift to a different mode of instruction, and we go through the State Chancellor's Office process in order to allow that during this time, or if their class doesn't lend to that, there are different modes that include online and other remote teaching modes. Or it could be that faculty choose to make the classes up if we have to stop classes, that they make the classes up by attending on the weekends or Friday, or when they're not normally scheduled. Or we work with the union in order to make a recommendation around the expansion of the semester so that faculty would have the opportunity to be able to offer the number of hours in instruction in order for the students to get the credit that they need. We now are at the point of making or preparing to make a recommendation. What we are, and we're recognizing that, you know, people need to get this information. We've been in full mode all day long, trying to pull all the pieces together, work with all of the people, collaborate on the items that we need to, because some of the issues are negotiable. Here's where we've landed in collaboration with the collective bargaining unit. We are going to recommend that we cancel classes beginning tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. Those 3 days are just simply canceling classes. And it would also, it means that the district continues to be open, the colleges continue to be open, the staff will continue to come to work, but we would decrease exponentially the number of people that are convening in a public space. We'll take advantage of that time to give faculty the support that they need if they want to increase their instruction in terms of learning how to use the online platform, getting up to speed on Canvas if they're not, or coming up with learning about other teaching modalities. And so that would be those 3 days. And then we have proposed that the board, which has been noticed, have an emergency meeting tomorrow and consider a change in the academic calendar. We work with PFT in order to make that recommendation. That change in the academic calendar would move spring break from the existing spring break to the following week. I know that some people spoke about that in a negative light because they were concerned about airfares and those types of things. Understand that our priority is about trying to decrease the possibility of the spread of any and exposure of any infectious disease, and so that protocol actually takes precedence over the convenience of spring break plans. And then what we're recommending is that then in the following week that we have that instruction resumes, but it resumes using the remote teaching options that faculty may have and the online options that faculty have in order to do it. What that would do would be, and then the following week is 2 days. The first 2 days are a flex day and Cesar Chavez holiday. What that would effectively do is give us 3 weeks of time where there's a decreased amount of public amassing, and where there's a lot of time, some opportunity for further planning, further action, further interventions, and quite frankly, a time for some de-escalation of some of the concerns and the anxieties. And so that's, I just wanted to put that out there in terms of that's what we're going to be proposing. The board is going to consider that action tomorrow at an emergency closed session. Okay, that's one piece.
Thank you.
Shall I continue with the?
Okay, yes, no,
Yes.
please.
All right. The next thing is I would like to, as a part of the Chancellor's report, I would like to actually read into the record a response to an item, and we worked with counsel in order to formulate this response, so in the interest of giving credit where credit is due, this response was formulated with the guidance of counsel. And this is in relationship to Mr. Marcus Crawley's comments. He came here at the last board meeting, and he presented himself as a member of the Bond Measurement Oversight Committee. He actually is a member of the district's Bond Measure Oversight Committee, but the comments that he made at the District Board of Trustees meeting on February the 25th, 2020, were made as a private citizen and were not endorsed in any manner by the Bond Oversight Committee. And we do have the chair of the Bond Oversight Committee here that I'm going to ask her to make a couple of comments for about 2 minutes when I finish this statement. Mr. Crawley is the president of the Alameda County Taxpayers Association, Incorporated. He asked to be placed on the agenda so that he could comment on his interpretation of the term of each member of the Bond Oversight Committee. In short, Mr. Crawley misinterpreted a basic legal principle as it is applied to fill in vacated seats on the district's Oversight Committee. Mr. Crawley's comments, however, wandered off topic, and in doing so, he made multiple inaccurate complaints about alleged attempts to stifle oversight. Eventually, he was asked by one of the trustees to conclude his remarks, although Mr. Crawley had already departed the building and the board had moved on to the next agenda item, and it was in the process of voting on that next agenda item, one of the trustees departed from the rules of procedure and repeated from the dais some of Mr. Crawley's inaccurate statements. Given Mr. Crawley's gross misinterpretation of facts and the possibility that his comments could erroneously be taken for an official position of the Bond Measure Oversight Committee, the Chancellor instructed the staff to invite Ms. Andrea Dawson, the chair of the Bond Measures Oversight Committee, to the March 10th, 2020 Board of Trustees meeting so that she could provide accurate information to the trustees and to the public. The following is a summary of the inaccurate comments Mr. Crawley made at the February 25th, 2020 meeting and the responses from the attorney, Mr. William Turnick, at DWK that worked on the legal matters involving the district's oversight committees. Mr. Crawley alleged that the transition from a combined parcel tax and bond measure oversight committee to two committees was an attempt to limit oversight. In fact, it created an opportunity for more oversight, not less. The purpose of the transition was to facilitate additional oversight, going from one committee to two, and from 5 members to the current 12. This plan was supported by the then current and past chairs of the combined oversight committee. Mr. Crawley stated that the members of the prior committee were dismissed. This is incorrect. They were specifically asked if they wanted to serve on either or both of the new committees. 4 of the 5 members sought to be and were appointed to serve on the Parcel Tax Measures Oversight Committee, Parcel Tax Committee, and continue to serve. The council's understanding is that they felt it would be best for others to serve on the Bond Committee, so the Parcel Tax Committee had enough time to focus on the parcel tax. Mr. Crawley implied that steps taken have interfered with the Bond Committee's oversight responsibility. While the transition could have been smoother, both the Bond and the Parcel Tax Committees are now functioning. They have held 2 meetings and are working with district staff on their duties. This transition has alleviated the need for council to attend committee meetings as was done in the past. And Mr. Crawley suggested that the appointment of the Bond Committee members to serve less than 2 years violated Education Code Section 15282. Mr. Crawley inaccurately interpreted how this section of the Education Code and the bylaws of the committee itself apply to the vacated seats on the Bond Committee. This issue will become moot when the board appoints members for the full terms beginning in July 1, 2020. And with that, I would like to ask Ms. Dawson to step up to the mic, to the podium. Ms. Andrea Dawson is the chair of the Bond Oversight Committee.
Yes, I am the chair of your newly formed Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And a little bit about me. So I've lived in Oakland for 35 years, and my daughter went through Oakland Public Schools, and my granddaughter is now a middle schooler in Oakland Public Schools. And I work for the bond program in management at San Francisco Unified School District, and have worked for many years in the construction industry on the public sector side. and I'm acquainted with your director, Mr. Lee Sada, so I'm happy to stand before you trustees and chancellor and introduce myself and say that I hope that what happened prior, I did follow the news, and it piqued my interest of what, how I thought a citizen bond oversight committee could be more effective and a better tool for the district, because we are actually the watchdog to the taxpayers, or we do report to the taxpayers, but in a more collaborative spirit that works with the district and with your vice chancellor of Facilities, Department of General Services, I guess is what it's called here. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to coming before you in the next few months after we do get the financial and performance report, which is required by law to be put before the Bond Oversight Committee at the same time as it comes to you as the district. And then we will be writing a report on that and in turn come before you, and I will be speaking to you about what I see happening with your program. But I will say that one of the reasons that I applied to be on your committee is because I saw what was happening and the positive changes that I felt were coming to this district. I watched the transitions, and as I said, I'm acquainted with the good work of Dr. Sada, and so I thought, this is a good opportunity for me to bring my 10 years of being on a bond oversight at Oakland Unified to the Peralta Colleges. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson. And then finally, I have two other parts of this report. The first thing is I will just let you know that I am preparing to go to the California Community College Board of Governors meeting. This is a meeting where on the agenda is the opportunity for the fiscal monitor for Peralta Community College District to give the Board of Governors an update on his perspective in terms of our progress. And I will attend that meeting. I have been invited to have 5 minutes to make any comments or give any response. I am preparing to make some comments, and in front of you, so you see the basis of those comments, I know that it's important for the Board of Governors to understand the progress that we're making on FITMAC. And so I am in the process of preparing a report to them and, quite frankly, to you on the progress we're making on FITMAC. And you have that draft in front of you right now. We will continue to refine it, and as things get implemented or completed, I'll continue to make the changes all the way up to the day that we are leaving. Also, I will be providing for the Board of Governors of the California Community Colleges a virtual binder, and that virtual binder will have all of the evidence that supports our accomplishments on the recommendations that we have. And that evidence, while I'll take one physical binder, all the rest of the board members will get a thumb drive that will have the virtual binder, so they'll have access to that. So that we are scheduled, I am scheduled to talk to the Board of Governors on the 17th of March. Wish me luck. It'll be good to see friends and loved ones there. And be able to give them the progress. And quite frankly, I think we have good progress to report on the accomplishments of the different recommendations of FITMAC, of the Financial Crisis Management Assessment Team's recommendations. And then finally, if I can just go to the president's reports and have the college presidents make comments, and then I'll conclude my report at that. Starting with Dr. Budd.
Thank you, Chancellor. Board of Trustees, fellow administrators, faculty, staff, and students. This evening, I'd like to focus my comments on our 10-year reception that just occurred tonight. I would like to first thank Dr. Siri Brown and Laura Leon Maurice for putting on a fabulous event to really highlight the incredible work that's happened on each campus on bringing in great faculty, helping them through the 10-year process, and then them receiving tenure. Berkeley City College had 3 faculty members receive tenure this evening, and I would just like to highlight publicly a brief thing about each of them. Chris Bernard, you just heard about from our student, is our economics instructor. He is also a lawyer, so he's an economist, a lawyer, and he's our distance ed professor. And when I called him last week, he was happy to step up and help train our faculty on online modalities and working with the committee. So when I see faculty that are not only teaching but stepping up as leaders, we know a college is in incredible hands. Also receiving tenure this evening was Janine Greer, who is our mental health specialist. And I was actually here and hired her when I was president before. As we all know, it's so important to have people for our students in need, and having a mental health counselor that then brings in interns that continue to help is incredible. Not only does she share her knowledge with the college, Berkeley City College, but within the district. So I really want to congratulate Janine Greer. And our third faculty member that received tenure this evening was Melina Berzman, and she is a new psychology faculty. She has totally revamped our psychology curriculum and has also worked on a year-long tutoring redesign. And she is helping with guided pathways within our college. So really, tonight was a wonderful evening. Thank you, and congratulations to our new tenured faculty. Thank you very much.
Good evening, trustees and district community. On behalf of Laney College, I'm pleased to give this report. On March 5th and 6th, Laney College participated in the study of the future of work and community colleges led by the Community College Research Center, CCRC, at Teachers College Columbia University and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology Task Force on the Work of the Future. The study examines how community colleges are adapting workforce training programs in healthcare, information technology, and manufacturing to respond to rapid technological changes taking place in the workplace. The researchers, personally, I had the opportunity to meet with them, and they shared how impressed they were with Laney College, in particular our faculty, in terms of their innovation in instruction and their direct support to students. They really were like, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. So I was really honored and privileged to be serving with them. Wanted to share a thing about a faculty member as well. Dr. Adrian Oliver is deeply committed to supporting men of color and creating instructional space for motivating them to read literature for liberation. Through her African American literature class this semester, Dr. Oliver created a man-to-man Motivational Monday speaker series that provides opportunities for students to connect with authors, playwrights, poets, and educators. Yesterday, Tongo Iason Martin, a revolutionary award-winning playwright, poet, and educator from San Francisco, shared the need for discipline in reading and how poetry can be used as a tool for unity and liberating the mind versus thinking about how you have to always sustain yourself, right? That really thinking beyond. And lastly, I'm really excited to share an accomplishment of two of our students, two journalism students, and one is here tonight, actually. Journalism student Casper, let me say his last name correctly, Dilmagoni. I think I said it right, Dilmagoni, and Manal Roach, who is here right in the audience, received... I apologize, Casper, received a semester-long paid internship through OnSpec Podcast. They will get training with writing, international reporting, social media engagement, and audio journalism. Casper is studying communication and journalism and is a staff writer and copy editor for The Citizen, and he's based in Oakland, California. And Manal is a journalist and filmmaker from Tunisia and is currently studying multimedia. She is passionate about social change through storytelling, and we're so pleased our students have had this opportunity. Thank you.
Great. Excellent.
Good evening, board, chancellor, community members, faculty, administrators. From Merritt College, two announcements tonight. PACLA, Peralta Association of Chicanos, Latinos de Aztlán, together with students and members of the Merritt College community, will be hosting the second annual Merritt Latinx graduation celebration on Saturday, April 25th. The event will consist of a ceremony, music, and short speeches by student honorees. The keynote address will be given by the Honorable Rosie Rios, who served under Barack Obama as the 43rd Treasurer of the United States. So we're looking forward to that. And I also want to take a moment to congratulate Dr. Brad Belugian. Not only is Brad the director of Merritt's Natural History and Sustainability program, but he is also an author. And his latest book is titled The Wax Pack, An Open Road in Search of Baseball's Afterlife. And just to give you a sense of what this was, what he did was, the premise is basically he opened up a pack of Topps baseball cards from 1986, which was the first year he was started collecting baseball cards, took the 14 players out of that pack, and then traveled around the country to see what they were up to and follow their stories. So it's a fascinating concept and obviously a great read. On Saturday, he was actually on KMBR 680 doing an interview about the book, and he shouted out Merritt College and its faculty and its department. So I want to express my appreciation for that. And that's the report from Merritt.
Good evening and greetings from the island. I have two items for you tonight. One is just an update on how wonderful our men's basketball team did. I mentioned them in my last brief, but they played a couple more games past our last meeting, so I just want to give you every update because I know you'd be very, very interested in it. So in the first round of the playoffs, because we haven't made them for a while, so we're really keen on this, we did defeat rivals College of San Mateo's Bulldogs, which...
Check it out.
Yes.
Thank you
and
for
that's
letting
where
me know that.
And I was tenured faculty member there, so hey. So that made me really, really happy on a Wednesday night. And then following that, the team went on a road trip up into the mountains to Columbia College, and they were the third seed in the region. And we did have a good game, but we did go down to Columbia. But I am so proud of the men's basketball team for the hard work they did, and they are definitely scholar athletes too. So we don't want to lose that also with all of our athletes we have in Peralta. So we are so proud of them. And then secondly, yeah, that's really good. They did fantastic. And then secondly, I want to give a shout out to one of our staff members, Brenda Lewis, who really was our champion on campus on planning our Black History Month. We had a lot of events this year, and Brenda did a yo person's job in marshaling a lot of people to get a lot of events and programs on our campus. And then the one thing she a tradition that she kept, and we've had it a long time at COA, is we capped off our Black History Month with a Sunday dinner. We didn't do it on a Sunday, we did it on a Thursday, but it's the same idea where we come together around food and have community. And she championed that, and people, it was a potluck. We brought food, bought lots of great things to eat, and I just want to thank her so much for making sure that tradition lasts at COA. We can all enjoy each other's company and be thankful for all the things we should be. So thank you.
Thank you, trustees. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you, college presidents.